What's going on, all you gamers? Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a fun video. We're going to be jumping into Diablo 2 and finding out what exactly happens if you don't rescue Deckard Cain. So if you want to know what happens in Diablo 2 Resurrected, if you completely leave Deckard Cain and don't rescue him from Tristan, then stay tuned, that's coming up next. Welcome back, all you guys and girls. As always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, and why not hit that subscribe and bell icon. I'll bring you all the latest and greatest in content, hints, tips, guides and builds, and just some fun gameplay of all the latest and greatest games. But for today I'm going to be showing you what happens if you fail to save Deckard Cain from Tristan in the very first act of Diablo 2 Resurrected. So first and foremost, I'm no speedrunner. In general, whenever I'm playing Diablo, I tend to pretty much clear all of the parts of the act in order to move on to the next one. But this time it didn't go quite as planned, and I thought it'd be quite fun to show a video of what happens if you aren't able to rescue him. So for this playthrough I chose to make a necromancer and went about my travels with my pretty tiny wand and made my way to the first part of Act 1, the Den of Evil. In here I managed to take down all of the baddies that weren't my own obviously as a necromancer, until finally making my way to the last enemy, slaying him and completely renovating the cave and brightening up the place in it. I then ventured on in my travels and went a little bit further and made my way to the burial ground in order to introduce Bloodraven to my new skeleton army. Now on my way over there I was joined by a friend who was a little bit higher level and much more geared up than myself. In fact, he'd already completed normal difficulty and was on nightmare himself, whether he came over just to see how I was getting on. With his help we easily dispatched Bloodraven and was about to move on to the next stage. After venturing round, getting a little bit of experience, finding a few things that I could chuck on my necromancer, we'd done a few of the key things in order to activate the Cain stones in the stony circle. However, instead of making my way straight through and saving Deckard Cain like we usually would, my friend decided that it may be in our best interest if we instead just completely left him to his own devices and instead made our way to the very last waypoint in the act, the Catacombs level 2. Now like I said, I have pretty much always completed these near enough in order and just made sure I had quite a nice bit of experience and such before moving on to anything else, but this time I decided it was worth a try just to see what happens. After making our way all the way through the catacombs and making it to the final one where Andariel was waiting, I heroically jumped into battle and faced off against her 1v1, as my overpowered friend pretty much just stayed in the corner, seeing what happened and cowering in fear. After swiftly dispatching of her, we'd completed the last chapter of this act, so we jumped straight back to base camp. From here I sorted myself out a little bit and then spoke to Warriv before swiftly moving on to Act 2. However, during the cutscene I found myself thinking, what have we done? We've completely left Deckard Cain hanging, quite literally just hanging. So I went to see what happened when we made it into Act 2, if he'd actually be there. Upon reaching Act 2, I swiftly made my way to the normal place where he's standing, and lo and behold there he is, as normal. However, he then goes on to say his tale of woe, kinda letting you know how much you suck and that he had to be saved by the rogues instead. As a way of getting you back, I went to identify items and found out that now instead of them being freebies, he charges you 300 gold for every time you want to identify them. So, in other words, Deckard Cain will not die if you leave him hanging in Act 1, however he is going to make you pay because he's going to charge you for his services. So you have to work out if you want to be a good guy and save him, or if you want to leave him high and dry, but you will have to pay the consequences. Also, I had got here very under geared, and in general I'd definitely say you want to gear up a little bit more if you're trying to take on that Act 2, so it may well work in your favour if you do a little bit of XP grinding. But as always guys and girls, just a fun one for today, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox. Take care, I'll see you on the next day.